Hi there, my name's Mr. Golding. I'm a brass teacher in schools up here in Scotland and universities. And one thing that I've been sent through to try out is this, the pBugle. Now, it's quite cheap, but it's absolutely brilliant. Lovely. Plays really nicely. It's really even and it's really good. What is it for? Well, I think obviously ceremonial purposes and things. A bright red bugle's not probably going to fit unless it's, I don't know, a military outfit that uses red a lot. But where it is useful, as a brass teacher, one thing I'm really aware of is the difficulty for a lot of pupils. If you don't start them on a G, on a trumpet, in the middle of the instrument, they struggle, and it takes them ages and ages to get over the first couple of hurdles of getting from a C. So one of the really common things that we hear a lot with young students is, now most brass teachers are going to recognise that, and it's really difficult. So the way I start my students is, I start them on G and I start them over F blues, and it gets them really used to starting in the middle. Now, where does this pBugle come in? It's a really good way to get them used to the harmonic series. So there's so much you can do with it. Not only can you obviously get like a G and a C for a new pupil, which is pretty easy. You can also teach them articulation, tonguing. And just because the way this thing feels is so ergonomic, you're not wanting to ram it onto your face because you're not kind of trapped with holding the valves and that awkwardness really early on. So it's a good way for the first few lessons, even the first probably term of playing, to get something totally different done. Now, where it's going to work with tunes and things like that, for me, is probably, you know, over backing tracks and things. I'm sure there's loads of cool things you can do. But I discovered, so you can stop the instrument. And it gives you that note below. Now, even the length of it, it's actually quite short. So I think some students with longer arms might manage that. But if you could, you can get some quite cool effects with it and things like that. So I think it's a brilliant introduction to the trumpet. It is something that I was excited about a long time ago, but I made a mistake and I spent pretty much the same as what you spend on one of these really well built things on one of these. This is another B-flat plastic bugle, so let's just compare some notes next to each other. These are the ones that are all over Amazon, eBay, places like that. You can see it's kind of bendy. It's a bit not very good. Whereas this is absolutely solid. I'm pretty confident that I could chuck it across the room and it would bounce. Whereas this, I will end up chucking it across the room, and this is the reason why. You can hear the difference already. It's really bad. So our lovely little harmonic series on this. All the way up to silliness. It's rubbish. Really, really rubbish. So the good thing about this as well, comes with a 7C mouthpiece, which is actually ideal for younger players. It's also got a tuning slide, so you can also cover the concept of tuning. And it's got a water key as well. Obviously, it's pretty useful to have that water key because the only other way to get the water out would be to do that little twisty round thing and the water would squirt out. So, this is a pBugle. I think it's got a definite place for early years, brass instruments, younger players, things like that. I think there's definitely a good place for it. Even I think for a tutor to have one, and if he's got pupils who are struggling with higher notes on a regular trumpet, just send them away and give them the challenge of playing 3 notes. It's easy to say it on a B-flat trumpet, but actually on this, there's no other options to kind of get 3 notes. So I think there's a big place for this, and certainly for me as a brass tutor, I'm going to make sure I've always got one of these sat in my bag. It doesn't take up much room, and I'm definitely going to be using it a lot.